Today we'll be talking about Konoha Shizumi. So let's begin. Konoha Shizumi is a 17-year-old balance-type magical girl. She is 165 centimeters in height, her eyes are a purple color, and her hair is gray. She comes from Senkyo Ward in Kamihama City. Her soul gem is a purple 5-pointed azalea flower in her magical girl form, which is located on the back of her left hand. Her weapon is a double-bladed lance. Her witch and doppel is Tagori. Her wish to be a magical girl was to erase a cause that was trying to destroy Shuduzi's house, which is the orphanage Konoha grew up in. To erase the main cause that tried to demolish Suzuzi's house. She attends Shigoyen Educational Academy in the 11th grade. Her magical girl element is water element, and her ability is to generate fog and illusions around others. A magical girl raised in an orphanage, she came from an affluent family, but after her parents fell ill and died, she went to live at the Azalea House. A pro at everything she sets her mind to, except cooking, she helps keep the other orphans in line. The Doppel of Retribution. Its form is a fox. The master of this emotion performs acts of vengeance against those she hates. Using a variety of magic tricks, this doppel is part of the Fox Trinity and represents retaliation. It is skilled in magic and can use will-o-wisp to confuse its enemies. So long as their master's grudge burns on, not even water can extinguish them. The master will lose her ability to think logically while using the doppel. Instead, she will act purely on instinct and perform extraordinary acrobatics. Konoha lives with Hazuki Yusa, Ayami Maruki. As the oldest, she manages for the finances, makes the decisions about fighting and how to live, and she devotes herself to the group. Konoha thinks she's pretty good at everything, except for one thing. One day, Hazuki calls Konoha saying that she's stuck at the classroom representative meeting. She suggests Konoha and Ayami order takeout for dinner. However, Konoha is concerned about the expense and decides to make dinner herself. Ayami said she never tried Konoha's cooking before, and Hazuki told her not to eat it. However, she wants to try it anyway. Hazuki then comes home to a sick Ayami. Konoha said Ayami ate all the food and said she liked it. However, Ayami got sick afterwards. Hazuki thinks Ayami wouldn't tell Konoha it tasted bad, and says she told them to get takeout. Konoha asks Ayami if her food really wasn't good, and Ayami apologizes. When asked by Hazuki, Konoha said she tried cooking because she thought this time it would turn out differently. Hazuki says she can handle the food, and tells Konoha to give up on it. These words set Konoha off, and she resolves to make food the other two will find delicious. She points out it's cheaper to cook, and Hazuki can't do it all the time. Hazuki and Ayami are afraid of Konoha's new goal. To study cooking, Konoha buys cheap cookware and begins studying cooking theory from books. She thinks Hazuki is a cooking prodigy of some kind. Konoha then makes an absolute mess of a meal for Hazuki, incorporating each theory of cooking she read. When asked by Hazuki, Konoha says she tasted each individual ingredient, but not the meal as the whole. Hazuki tries it immediately and collapses. When Konoha tastes it, she finally can't even understand how she made that flavor. Ayami then arrives, carrying a flyer for a cooking class. The flyer is for a famous restaurant called Yukushu Walnuts. Hazuki said that the food there is so good it made her cry. Konoha wonders if she can really get better, prompting Ayami to point out Konoha suddenly got timid. Hazuki reassures Konoha and tells her this is a great opportunity. She points out that if Konoha wants to learn how to cook, she needs to try everything she can. Hazuki also thinks that at least she can, and Ayami won't have to be test tasters anymore. Konoha decides to take the cooking class. Ayami says it's a good idea, and is also secretly glad she won't have to eat Konoha's bad food. Konoha arrives at the restaurant and meets the teacher, one Manaka Kurumi. Konoha thinks Manaka is around the same age as Hazuki, or is at least older than Ayami. Konoha tells Manaka she only started learning how to cook. Manaka says she can help, and starts how to properly use a knife. However, Konoha swings it too hard, and Manaka moves on to cracking eggs. However, Konoha can't do that either, without the shells falling in. Manaka, who has seen Konoha mess up in a way she never saw before, wonders what to do, but promises to help Konoha improve. Manaka decides that Konoha should just make practice dishes. Konoha thinks she can do better than that, and Manaka praises Konoha's confidence. However, Konoha burns the oil on the pan, puts too much dashi in the rice, and the miso soup explodes. Manaka has to take over for Konoha's cooking each time. Finally, the meal is finished, and Manaka tastes it. Unfortunately, it's horrible. However, in order to protect her restaurant's reputation, she insists it tastes good and starts eating it all. Manaka then passes out. Konoha finds some of the meal left and eats it, and learns that the food is indeed horrible. Later, Konoha hunts a witch with her team. Konoha is lost in thought during the battle, wondering why she can't learn to cook. Despite her mind being occupied, Konoha defeats the witch with her team. Suddenly another girl appears, saying she didn't make it in time. The girl introduces herself as Himika Mao, and asks if the trio are sisters. Hazuki says they aren't, but live together a long time. The girls introduce themselves, and Konoha asks Himika how old she is. Himika says she's 13 years old, same as Yami. Konoha asks if Himika has sisters, and she answers she's the eldest sister of 5 younger siblings. Ayami asks what it's like being an older sister. Himika says it's trouble, but all her siblings are cute. She also says Konoha would say the same thing, and Konoha hesitantly agrees. Ayami says she'd like to meet Himika's family. Himika invites her over, although she says her house is cramped and dirty. When Konoha hears Himika makes the good food for her family, she asks if everyone finishes. Himika answers yes, prompting Konoha to ask if she can come along as Ayami's guardian. Himika accepts, and Hazuki says she'll go home and prepare dinner. If the two of them don't eat it, Hazuki says she'll leave the leftovers for breakfast. Himika says her family never had enough food for leftovers. At Himika's house, Ayami and Konoha are reminded of azaleas. Konoha asks Himika about the ingredients she's using. Himika says it's a blend of meats and that was left over from the supermarket. She got it cheaply from a man who disposes of the leftover food. Himika says she never knows exactly what she's getting. When Konoha says if that's really okay, Himika admits her family is poor, and she needs the cheap food to feed everyone. However, she does her best to make sure the food tastes good. Himika then serves dinner, and all her siblings and Ayami dig in. Konoha asks if Himika's food is tasty, and the siblings say that since Himika is doing her best, they never thought it was bad. Konoha thinks back to her time at the Azalea house, where the director's food was always delicious, every day. Konoha believes this is because the director always did her best. Konoha realizes she was too focused on cooking theory when she should have really thought about who she is cooking for. Konoha thanks Himika and leaves, taking the reluctant Ayame with her. On a later day, Ayame and Hazuki get worried when they find out Konoha is trying to cook again. Konoha reassures them by saying if she fails, she'll get off from cooking. Focusing on her feelings this time, Konoha makes a meal from azaleas. When Hazuki and Ayame try it, they say it's bad, but still edible. And Aname and Hazuki can tell Konoha tried her best. Konoha is excited that someone could eat her food. The next day, Ayame returns home to find Konoha is cooking again. Hazuki says that Konoha has gotten a taste of the joy of cooking. Konoha narrates that this was the story of how she overcome her poor cooking skills. Once she learned that cooking is hard, she could make food that people could finish. She thinks that cooking is fun, though Ayame and Hazuki sometimes scream loud enough to startle the neighbors. Konoha is currently making beef stroganoff, a dish that Hazuki says it's hard to make. In fact, Hazuki has never made it before. When it's finished, Hazuki is concerned by the smell, but tries it with Ayame. Both of them collapse. While Konoha says she'll try to redo it, Konoha narrates that expense is what's important and wonders what to try making next. Konoha's ability generates fog and illusions, meaning she can make fog to blind her opponent's vision and a way around to use illusions to trick them. Kind of like other name techniques for other anime characters as magic girls outside of Prolomagy. Like Sailor Mercury's attack Mercury Aqua Mist and Saban Spray. Her first name, Konoha, means tree's leaves, while her last name, Shizumi, means static and ocean respectively. Fact 1. Her illustrator is Yugen. Fact 2. Her doppel is named after Tagori Hime, one of Dri's sister goddesses created by Amaterasu and Susanoo. Her sisters, Hazuki and Ayame, have doppels named after the other two sisters in the trifecta. Fact 3. Konoha's voice actor is Lin, who you may know as Nozomi Kamanashi in Kyo, Fuka Kitsuki in Fuka, Rita in Kunomo Kudo, Asai Takaguchi in Magical Girl Sight, Princess Habana in Fire Force, and Gilda in The Promised Neverland. Also for Class 6, for my love of Classics too, she voiced Marilyn Monroe's character in the Japanese dubs, Paula DeVos in How to Marry a Millionaire, and Alison Eingrum's character Nellie Dawson in Little House on the Prairie. And that is Konoha Shizumi. Next time we'll go over Hazuki Yusa. So see you next time.